The trade war between the United States and China has escalated with a new focus on semiconductors. President Trump recently announced plans to impose tariffs specifically targeting these crucial components. This decision marks a significant development in the ongoing trade dispute, signaling a shift towards industries deemed vital for national security and technological dominance. The announcement has sent shockwaves through global markets and raised concerns about the future of US-China relations. This latest move comes amidst already strained trade relations. The US has imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, and China has retaliated in kind. The back-and-forth tariffs have disrupted supply chains, increased costs for businesses and consumers, and fueled uncertainty in the global economy. The semiconductor tariff announcement further complicates an already complex situation. The Trump administration argues that these tariffs are necessary to protect American jobs and intellectual property. They accuse China of unfair trade practices, including forced technology transfer and intellectual property theft. However, critics argue that these tariffs are counterproductive and will ultimately harm American businesses and consumers. The decision to target semiconductors is particularly significant given their importance in various industries. Semiconductors are the brains of modern electronics, powering everything from smartphones and computers to cars and airplanes. The US government views access to and control over this technology as crucial for national security and economic competitiveness. Semiconductors are at the heart of the current trade tensions. These tiny chips are essential for a vast array of electronic devices, making them a critical component of the global economy. The US and China are both major players in the semiconductor industry, but their relationship is characterized by competition and mistrust. The Trump administration views China's technological rise as a threat, particularly in the semiconductor sector. The US government argues that China is unfairly acquiring semiconductor technology through forced technology transfers and intellectual property theft. They fear that China's growing dominance in this sector could undermine US national security and economic competitiveness. The new tariffs are intended to pressure China to change its practices and protect American interests. China denies these allegations and views the tariffs as an attempt to stifle its technological progress. The Chinese government has vowed to retaliate against the US tariffs, further escalating the trade war. This tit-for-tat approach has created a climate of uncertainty and instability in the global semiconductor market. The semiconductor standoff has far-reaching implications. The global electronics industry relies on a complex supply chain with components sourced from various countries. Disruptions to this supply chain due to tariffs and trade tensions could lead to higher prices, production delays, and innovation slowdowns. The trade war's impact extends far beyond the US and China, sending ripples throughout the global economy. The interconnected nature of global trade means that tariffs and trade barriers imposed by these two economic giants have significant consequences for other countries. These consequences are felt in various sectors, from manufacturing and agriculture to technology and finance. One of the most immediate and noticeable impacts is the increase in prices for consumers worldwide. Tariffs on goods imported from China have led to higher prices for everything from electronics and clothing to cars and furniture. This price hike is already being felt by consumers in the US, Europe, and other parts of the world. The trade war has also fueled uncertainty in the global economy, making businesses hesitant to invest and expand. This uncertainty is particularly acute in industries heavily reliant on trade with China, such as manufacturing and agriculture. The International Monetary Fund has warned that the trade war could shave off a significant percentage of global economic growth. Public concern about the trade war is growing, with many worried about the impact on their jobs, wallets, and the overall economy. A recent poll found that a majority of Americans believe the trade war is hurting the US economy. The poll also found that Americans are increasingly concerned about the rising cost of goods and services due to tariffs. The ongoing trade war between the US and China represents a significant challenge to the global trading system. This system, built on principles of free trade and multilateralism, has underpinned decades of global economic growth and prosperity. However, the current trade tensions threaten to undermine this system and usher in an era of protectionism and economic nationalism. The Trump administration's approach to trade policy, characterized by unilateral actions and a disregard for multilateral institutions, has raised concerns among U.S. allies and trading partners. They worry that the U.S. is abandoning its leadership role in shaping global trade rules and creating a vacuum that other countries, such as China, might fill. The future of global trade hangs in the balance. If the US and China can resolve their differences and find a way to coexist within the existing trading system, there is hope for continued economic growth and prosperity. However, if the trade war continues to escalate, it could lead to a fragmentation of the global economy, with countries retreating behind protectionist barriers. The stakes are high, and the outcome of this trade war will have profound implications for the global economy and the future of international relations. The world is watching closely as the US and China attempt to navigate this complex and consequential dispute. The decisions they make in the coming months and years will shape the global landscape for decades to come.